Have you guys seen Prisoners?
No, it's on my to-watch list.
I love Prisoners.
So stressful, so depressy. Also, what's his name?
Hugh Jackman.
Paul Dano.
Hugh Jackman could run me over with his car, reverse, run me over again, and I would still serve him every day.
Oh, wow.
You want him to break you over his knee and load you like a shotgun?
I want him to cut me up into little pieces and ingest me. I'm just kidding. That's fucked up. I'm so sorry.
Jesus Christ, Mitch.
You can cut that out.
Holy fuck. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Blockbuster, where three dudes talk about movies that we like and sometimes don't like. I am one of your hosts. One of them. My name's Ben. Welcome to the show.
Hello, my name is Lucas, and I will be another one of your hosts.
Hello, my name is Mitch, and I am your host with the most this week.
And our host with the most shows for us during this period of time travel multiverse fuckery. Arrival, Denis Villenuve's. What year did it come out? You can tell it.
2016, yeah.
Holy shit, wait. This was directed by Denis Villenuve?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and it makes so much sense.
It is a very Denis Villeneuve movie, except a lot less depressing than he usually does. So yeah, Mitch, you want to give us a rundown of what this fucking movie is?
Yeah. Arrival, released in 2016, stars Amy Adams as Louise Banks, a linguistics professor who's swept up during a alien invasion or alien arrival.
Oh! He said the line!
He said the fucking line!
Okay. She, along with physicist Ian, played by Jeremy Renner, are tasked with trying to figure out why the aliens have come to Earth through, talking to them. It was directed by Denis Villeneuve, written by Eric Heiser and Ted Chiang.
It was written by Eric Heiser, but it was based on a short story by Ted Chiang? Was it Ted Chiang who wrote the short story?
Ted Chiang?
Yeah, Ted Chiang wrote Story of Your Life, which is the short story it's based on. Did any of you read that?
No.
I haven't read it either.
No, I didn't even know.
Yeah. You guys want to hop into subtitles?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'll go first. Arrival. When will they arrive? We don't know, but they do, and so does Amy Adams.
Sure. Lucas?
Arrival. When language hits harder than shrooms.
What?
Because it rewires your neural paths.
Right.
Someone didn't watch the movie.
Whatever.
We're clearly on a similar wavelength, Lucas. Mine is Arrival. My octopus teacher from space made me drop acid.
Yeah! That's epic. That's a great subtitle.
I'm sure I would enjoy that more if I'd ever seen My Octopus Teacher.
It's a great documentary.
First impressions. I mean, do we even need to do your guys' first impressions? Because y'all essentially have the same opinion everyone else does.
Shut the fuck up, man.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. I'm so
Let's just cancel the podcast. Like, why are we even talking about this movie?
I'm so sorry.
We need to edit the Spotify about us and change Ben to the certified hater.
I am going to play the role of the certified hater in this episode because I don't like Arrival. I don't like it. I've seen it once before. I didn't like it. I thought it was because I was young and stupid and didn't understand it.
Correct.
Well, maybe that's true. All right. But I watched it again for this pod and I had the same feelings. I think a lot of my gripes with it are due to the vagueness of how the future sight ability works, even though clearly a lot of effort went into the nuts and bolts of it. They got linguists and researched Lagrangian mechanics for it, and the mechanics of it are really not addressed much in a way that I think detracts from the quality of the movie. I also think the core narrative with Amy Adams' character Louise and her daughter is underbaked and can't be developed because they spend the whole movie establishing the time travel thing, and if they were going to use the time travel thing to tell the story, they would have two movies and it would take forever. It's a really vague shell wrapped around a dead simple story, and it makes me feel very, very meh
Dang.
And I know I'm the only person on Earth who thinks that, because everybody I've ever talked to thinks Arrival's amazing.
All of the reviews I saw that people that didn't like the movie were very much like, what the heck? Everybody loves this movie, but they're all wrong.
Well, I mean, that's like every Negarian review, right? But also, I feel like the main critique I saw was that it was boring.
I did see, yeah, I saw a lot of that.
I wasn't super bored. I just thought it's unmotivated. I mean, Denis Villeneuve said he wanted to make Arrival as a way to practice his sci-fi chops in preparation for Blade Runner 2049, which is a sci-fi movie he's always wanted to make. I'm not coming out and saying this was a half-assed attempt and just him getting his sea legs, because he put a lot of effort into this movie, him and his team, and there's a lot of good qualities about it. There's two things the movie is. Neither of them are very good, and I can explain that later.
Yeah, you'll have some explaining to do for sure. And honestly, I'm kind of happy that you have the opposite thought.
I know. How long has it been since we've disagreed?
It's been a while. We've watched a lot of movies that we've agreed on a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spread in our ratings hasn't been like that great of late.
Well, I'm here to rectify it.
Woohoo. Well, for me, I will be up front. I have seen this movie before. I think I've only seen it once, maybe twice before this watch. And I love this movie. Let's just first off, Amy Adams. Amazing acting.
She is dope. She's amazing.
Yeah, she really sells it in this movie. Also, if you have not seen her in the HBO limited series of Sharp Objects, really give it a check out because it's amazing. She's amazing.
Well, except for the ending, but yeah.
Except for the ending. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But like, give me alcoholic reporter detective Amy Adams every day. Every day.
Except for this day when she's a linguist.
Exactly, yes. She needs to be very sober for this. I mean, she kind of was. She was tripping on time. Yeah, this movie, it's just fun. Like, I'm not like, I was a sci-fi nerd as a kid. Love the idea of like, let's take a realistic look at an alien invasion or a first encounter sort of movie, and let's try to see like what are the complications with that, because you know most alien invasion movies, it's like they're here and they're evil and they're coming to take over, let's get them, or they speak English and they can communicate their desires. So I think this was like a super fun, like, we speak different languages, we are different species, how does that affect our language? Because language is so inherent to us as humans. When you say you want to hold something, it takes into consideration that we have appendages that can hold things. Really interesting, really beautiful, really well shot. I love the score to this movie. And it just kind of makes me feel warm inside and also sad. I don't know. I think the big takeaway from this is just the ability to coexist with each other and kind of see the bigger picture. Yeah, love it. Love it. Excited to talk about it.
I have similar sentiments to Lucas. I have loved this movie for a long time. I remember the first time I watched it, I was on a 12-hour flight and I cried in the plane, which is like a very
Love that.
intense like experience to have. Just very emotionally engaged with it. And I still love it. I've seen it plenty of times and it has a lot to say about challenges with communication, like what it means to be human, how like the choices we make despite knowledge of like risk or knowledge of loss. In a way, it can be a very life affirming film, and I think that's pretty cool.
Well, there you have it, folks. The El Clasico of Arrival. 66% of humans love it.
All right. We opened with narration from our main character, Louise, saying, "I used to think this was the beginning of your story. We are so bound by time, by its order." This is then met with a montage of her with her daughter, first as a baby, then as a child, then as a teenager, becoming sick, and then passing away. Definitely like gut punch, first like 3 minutes of the film. You got dead kid. Like immediately.
Which Denis Villeneuve does really well. He's so good at making you sad.
Yeah, dead child right off the bat. Rip.
She then says, "But now I'm not so sure I believe in beginnings and endings." She also alludes to formative moments in life, like when they, quote, arrived.
Oh,
Not quite.
oh,
Stop.
it's close.
We then see Louise arrive at her college lecture, where most of her students are absent. She tries to start her class on Portuguese, but is interrupted by a distracted class who ask her to turn on the news.
I love that she turns on the news and stands directly in the middle of the TV, staring straight at it like, move, girl, down in front.
Yeah, there's a deliberate lighting choice in this scene too. She's all dark. They're all in the light. Also, lots of curves. Lots of curves in the whole movie. Not those. No, Lucas. No. Lucas just winked at me. Not those kinds of curves.
You mean like in the architecture of the set design and stuff?
Yeah, the desks are all like curved. God damn it.
I thought you were being bad, Ben. I'm sorry. That was my bad.
Yeah, well, you're not. That's fair.
Auga, auga. The newscast reveals that unidentified flying vessels have landed all across the world. Suddenly, a siren blares and the university buildings are being evacuated as military jets fly overhead.
One of the interesting patterns I picked up on, whenever they, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but hey, they do that in the movie. Later on, when they go and commune with the aliens, they're only allowed into the ship for like brief periods of time at certain intervals. They'll open the door of the ship and let them on. And the military base that they're on will play a siren to alert them that they are ready to receive them and talk to them. And this is technically the first siren. It's not the same siren. It's not played at the military base, but it is calling our main character into this world because her journey really starts here.
Golf clap. Good job, Ben. I didn't notice that.
When she's trying to get to her car, there's kind of like panic going on. Like somebody crashes their car, and I was just like, that's me. Instead of like some craziness, and I'm just like, oh God, I don't know what to do. And crash into the nearest parked car.
Bro, that's hilarious. Also, the dialogue of everybody, including the people in the car crash, is muted and in the background. You can hear what they're saying, but only just barely, which is the theme throughout the movie.
Louise arrives home from work, still following the breaking news. No real information other than the U.S. is working with other countries and that there are 12 ships in total. Louise is on the phone with her mom, trying to calm her down, and tells her to stop watching Fox News.
Always good advice.
Yeah. Also, like 12 ships, the Christians are going to go crazy over this.
Why?
12.
There's 10 commandments.
12 apostles.
Oh. I don't fucking know anything about goddamn Christianity.
And you're better for it.
You're better for it, honestly. We get more news snippets, which have like shitty phone videos of the vessels floating above different places and that they're about 1,500 feet tall. Luis decides to go to work the next day like a total nerd. Where no one else has shown up due to the whole alien invasion thing or whatever. Louise then decides to stay in her office and watch the news in her office, where Colonel Weber, played by Forrest Whitaker, enters. He reveals that Louise is a top of her field in translation, and
He
still
reveals that Luis is a top.
Oh my God.
He makes the audience aware that she's the top of her field in translation and still has top secret clearance from her previous work. He pulls out an audio recorder and plays a snippet of someone asking questions like, "Why are you here?" And strange noises respond. Weber confirms that these are indeed the aliens making the noises.
How do we feel about the alien noises?
They're very like guttural, and I don't know how to explain. They're really hard to describe, I would say.
It's almost like echolocation, or like they're vibrating, you know what I mean? Like,
They're kind of whale noises.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they sound crackly, and sometimes they sound like sirens. And that for me is an issue because it's inconsistent. I don't really know what's producing the noise. It just feels kind of slapdash, in my opinion.
I think that's intentional because it's like we don't know what sort of
Physiology.
that they're working with. So like if it's making these wide range of sounds, like what the hell is this thing? Like how is it making it?
I don't know. I'm not a biologist, all right? But usually animals have really distinct noises because it's not beneficial to make a whole bunch of noises unless you're a fucking parrot.
But you're talking about things on Earth.
I understand they're extraterrestrial, but they're also organisms, presumably. And if they are, then they might. And I think like having a consistent sonic palette would be interesting to parse as a viewer. It would give you that sort of Christopher Nolan-y, oh, this is making me feel smart sort of thing. Because it's like, how are they generating that noise? Instead of just, here's a smorgasbord of noises they make because they're foreign objects.
In all the watches I had, I never was like had an issue with how the aliens sounded, so that is interesting that stuck out for you.
Not that it's a deal breaker or anything.
Yeah.
Just one choice I didn't necessarily agree with, Denny. Are you listening?
He's
Certainly not.
He is not, but we would love if he did. Also, I just love how Colonel Weber was like, all right, you hear this audio clip? What's he saying? What are they saying? It's like, bitch, I don't know. Like, Jesus, it's 8 a.m. I haven't had my coffee yet. Like,
I literally just woke up.
yeah.
Dog. I get that too. Honestly, throughout the movie, I got it. And I understand probably at least some of my criticisms of the movie are based on the fact that I know dog shit, this square root of jack shit about linguistics. I don't understand how the fuck anybody has ever managed to communicate anything to anyone. I have a tenuous grasp of the English language at best. So the fact that like I don't know, a lot of the plot is wrapped up in these real world linguistic examples is confusing to me, but also the way they explain it isn't very interesting either. It's just, it doesn't make me feel like they're smarter than me. It feels like they're saying things that I already know and don't give me any answers to it. But we'll get to that later. That's like the whiteboard shit. We'll get there.
I grew up speaking 2 languages, and so I think this was fun in terms of like how, you know, you see the difference in the 2 languages. They were both Romance languages, so it wasn't like they were worlds apart. But
Wait, heptapod's a Romance language?
No, English and Spanish, dude. But heptapod is TBD on the Romance part. I'm just kidding.
Hell yeah.
Heptapodians are from Spain.
Yeah.
Their origin is their Latin in nature.
Yeah. But no, so I thought it was fun to be like, let's hear a new language and see how it like comes to be. The other funny thing is like, I think, Ben, what you were saying is kind of like, I don't know, this is how CEOs or people in leadership deal with specialists. They're like, oh, you're a specialist in this area. Here's a snippet of something. Now give me the answer. And they're just like, whoa, this takes time. Like, I got to figure this shit out. Like, hold on. And throughout the whole movie, people are asking Amy Adams to be like, just give me the answer. And she's like, no, I don't know. Like, let me cook.
Right. I mean, that comes up frequently. That's like the major plot obstacle is, hey, Amy Adams, communicate for us. And Amy Adams says, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It takes, what they're really asking is communicate quickly and clearly. And she's saying, you can have one or the other.
Yeah. So Louise says she can't really do anything with the audio. She'd have to see them to understand better. Colonel Weber says no and heads off. However, in the middle of the night, the colonel flies in with a chop.
Wait. Before the colonel walks away, she says something. She says, because they're like, we're going to go to this other linguist. Or she says, are you going to go to this other linguist? And they say, possibly.
Yeah,
and
I was just
says,
ignoring that part.
But I want to bring it up
It's
because
important.
I don't get it. Because what she does is she says, ask him if he knows the translation of something.
The translation of war in Sanskrit.
Yeah. And then they walk away, and then they land with helicopters at her house the next night, and they're like, he said this is the translation. And she said, but this is the translation. And they're like, you're hired. What? That didn't make sense to me.
So, okay, this is from a quick Reddit search.
We're trusting Reddit now.
Okay, in terms of like my viewership, I just saw it as like she had a nuanced understanding of linguistics, and she was like, check your other expert to make sure that they know their shit. True. But here's what Reddit says. So Gavisti is like traditionally, or people think it's the Sanskrit word for war, but Gavisti describes the motivation for war, which is economic, while Yuddha, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, is the actual word for like war itself. And so it's those nuanced understandings of what this word actually is trying to communicate.
In the middle of the night, the colonel flies in with a chopper to take Luis to Montana. Apparently, he was unimpressed with the other people he showed the tape to. In the chopper, we are introduced to Ian, a theoretical physicist. We also learned that the ships are being referred to as shells, or the shell.
This is, in our multiverse time fuckery epoch, the second appearance of a theoretical physicist.
You know what they say about theoretical physicists.
Louise Banks, she's always hanging out with those theoretical physicists.
And they're right to be worried.
So in the next scene, we are actually introduced to the shell in all its glory. It's a massive, giant, smooth river rock looking ship, sort of in this very ethereal, cool ass scene with like clouds flowing over mountains and trees. It's pretty epic.
That scene of them flying and seeing the shell with the fogs kind of like hugging the bluffs. What a beautiful shot. It's the first time that we get to see the shells. And then also that score is like weird and eerie. It's like a great like little shot. I want to capsulize that little shot and put it inside my body and absorb it, you know?
It is. It's excellent. It's fucking excellent.
It's what Denis is quite good at, is having very managing to sync the like beautiful cinematography and his eye for that with a vibe and ethereal, and picking the composer and all these things that I feel like is very much some of the fingerprints of his work.
I would say he's good at grandiosity. He's good at making shit feel enormous and important. Mm-hmm. Except Prisoners, where everything feels oppressive and horrible. In a good way. That movie's amazing. It will make you fucking want to die. Have you guys seen Prisoners?
No, it's on my watch list.
I love Prisoners.
So stressful, so depressing. Also, what's his name?
Hugh Jackman.
Paul Dano.
Hugh Jackman could run me over with his car, reverse, run me over again, and I would still serve him every day.
Oh, wow.
You want him to break you over his knee and load you like a shotgun?
I want him to cut me up into little pieces and ingest me. I'm just kidding. That's fucked up. I'm so sorry.
Jesus Christ, Mitch.
You can cut that. You can cut. But like.
Oh my God. Mitch, that's not only the kinkiest thing I've ever heard you say, that's the kinkiest thing I've ever heard anyone say.
Oh, come on. I saw, it was like a comment someone made on like on this like professor's, like he was looking at his like comments and talking about them, and like that was one of the comments. Okay. Luis and Ian get medical evaluations after finding out some of the people have had adverse mental problems after entering the shell. They have no time to get their bearings as an alarm goes off and they need to get suited up in hazmat suits to enter the shell. The shell...
Dope ass orange suits.
Yeah.
Love the orange suits. They look dope.
Yeah.
And we're also given a little information. The shell opens up for 112 minutes and then closes for 18 hours.
Which Ian says is most likely due to trying to create a separate atmosphere that is habitable to humans versus what their atmosphere is.
Oh, it's so sweet. Aww.
Very sweet, very mindful, very demure.
Yeah, I also wonder kind of like how these aliens, you know, the scale at which they think and experience, like it's almost like they need the time. This is just something that's coming to me now. We see later in the film, like Luis kind of struggling with the time as it's switching back and forth. I almost wonder if these aliens, because of the way they experience time, like need big breaks before they can talk to humans. I don't know, because it is kind of revealed later their atmosphere isn't dangerous necessarily, but there could be more to that maybe I don't understand. But
they could also, I think it's like they're trying to understand each other's languages, and the aliens do have a head up with the whole like being able to see the future thing. But like,
yeah, that's kind of a huge buff.
Maybe also giving humans the time to analyze the interactions they had to be able to understand and come
fair
back
as
with
well.
More.
It doesn't, well, in this plays into my main criticisms of the movie, but it doesn't matter what they think because they can see the future. So whatever they choose is going to work. They know it's going to work. They've seen the future.
There's also an element when you're looking at this sort of deterministic idea of time that you still have to like, they have to play their role. Like they have to do things in the way they know it will work. So there's a method.
Well, they either have to play their role or they're forced to play their role.
Yeah,
And
depending on.
we'll get to that later because this is my huge issue with the movie. But
because I don't know. I personally think people who would be able to see the future, it's that like reality of they see the future with the situations that are happening now, but you're still able to make decisions that can change that future, and they can see what those decisions lead to.
They go to the shell and are raised up by a construction lift to the opening in the bottom. After entering an antechamber of sorts. I thought you wanted to go forward.
I do want to go forward, but I want to respond to what you're saying. When they were scissor lifting up to the shell, my brain was going, oh, this is a sperm and egg metaphor. And then I was like, that's fucking stupid. Shut up.
Yeah, listen to that thought. I'm just...
Glad you interrupted me to bring that up.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm here to talk. We have a podcast.
In just seeing the shell, it looks like a giant rock or like a giant river pebble. Like it's smooth, but the rock, like when they get up close to it, it looks like a natural rock formation. And I think it was Arthur C. Clarke who said that like sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, or it's like naturalistic. Like it seems like these powers they have. And I think these aliens have that in such an amazing way. Like everything, all their technology looks effortless, especially the next part.
After entering the sort of antechamber from below, the gravity in the room shifts and they can walk on the walls to the audience room, what they refer to as the nave. The nave is a massive chamber flooded with light by a window filled with kind of like a white mist with that's the barrier between the alien environment and the scientists. The team set up a bevy of instruments and then the aliens arrive.
Oh.
2 large tentacled creatures floating in the mist.
They look like knuckles.
Yeah, kind of like giant hands for sure. We cut immediately to the team decontaminating, so we don't really get anything from this first visitation.
They say that communication is mostly body language, and this movie is about like the process of communication and how it's step by step, it's procedural, there's a bunch of traps you can fall into. So the very first step with something that you've never seen before is seeing it. That is part of communication. Seeing their parts, seeing their bits, seeing their environment, seeing their home, their atmosphere, the sounds they make, that kind of stuff. That matters a lot.
Yeah.
Indeedly.
I also love that one of the equipment is a very old-timey method of bringing in a canary into the coal mine, so to speak.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, make sure that they're not going to die from lack of oxygen or get smothered in some way. Which, I mean, doesn't really make sense because, like, if the aliens wanted to kill them, they definitely could just, like, close the door, you know?
Yeah.
But
like, they're like, okay, they have this little chamber, this audience chamber where we can go in and the atmosphere is good and the oxygen is good. And, like, I get it. It's governments being cautious. But the whole time they're like, at any moment they could take this away. It's like they have an audience chamber for you. That's an indication of something, y'all. Like, run with that.
You don't know if it's a dissection chamber.
Girl, get dissected. I don't care.
Like, look, I understand. I'm with you, Lucas. I tend towards trustworthiness. I think, yeah, go into the audience chamber, talk to these guys, figure it out. I think that would be fun, and I think the benefits far outweigh the cons. But there is a valid argument to be made that you don't know anything about them.
Sure.
Literally anything. They could just rip you apart for fun.
Luis gets to work analyzing the sounds. Meanwhile, the world is going to shit due to scarcity and economic collapse. The team gets ready to go into the shell. This time, Luis gets the idea to bring a dry erase board as a visual aid for talking to the aliens.
Smart.
She holds up a sign that says human to them. After some time, the aliens spray some ink to form a ring shape. And they sort of have this little bit of back and forth trying to figure out what exactly is going on. And suddenly the aliens start ink signing rapidly. And we cut back to decontamination. Weber, being the dumb military man, tries to tell Louise how to do her job. She then tells a cute story about miscommunication during first contact involving the word kangaroo to get him off her back and let her cook. Basically, some colonial power gets to Australia and is like wandering around where the Aboriginal peoples are and keep pointing to kangaroos. And they're like, what's this? What's this? And then apparently the Aboriginals said kangaroo. So they called it a kangaroo. What they didn't know was kangaroo meant I don't understand what you're saying in Aboriginal language, which isn't a real
lie.
Yeah, she says it's a lie just to get him off her back.
Good for you, girl.
But it is a very like thinking on her feet funny story for sure.
I also don't think Colonel Weber is like I get what you're saying, Mitch. I don't think he is just like the military guy who's like dumb. Like I think he throughout this movie is listening to her, doesn't understand like linguistics, but does take her expertise into consideration, while there's other people like the CIA guy, Agent Halpern, who's just like, shut the fuck up, these people could like, he's just playing chess the entire time. And he's just seeing how they could obliterate us and how we should like keep our cards close.
Yeah, but he does do a good job. Weber does do a good job of like being like, I don't understand this, so explain to me like why I'm wrong kind of thing. But also like he does get in our way a lot. Like doesn't like rely. He like once he hears an explanation, he's usually good, but he doesn't just implicitly trust Luis's judgment.
Yeah, and he's like up front. He's like, I've got to report to like higher ups. I've got to like explain what we're doing here and why. Like, you got to help me out here. So yeah, I don't know. I have grown warmer on Colonel Weber than I did on my first watch.
Meanwhile, the Brits are trying to teach their aliens algebra. Dumb fucks.
Brits.
Have you ever 2 times 2 is equal?
They don't seem to understand our algebra.
At the same time, math technically should be the universal language, so I get where the scientists are coming from, but they're also a little too much up their own ass.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're trying to get to big question, I can't E equals MC squared ask you to explain why you're here, unless you want to give me some formula for how your language works or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's an explicit theme of the movie when they're on the helicopter. When Ian and Luis first met, Ian reads a passage of Luis's book that says, like, language is the bedrock of civilization. And he's like, that's great, even though it's wrong, because the bedrock of civilization is science.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's a scientist, you know. Louise backhands Weber with cold hard facts after he criticizes her new vocabulary words to teach the aliens.
There's like this great scene where Colonel Weber's like, these lists of words are so like basic, like we're trying to understand what's their purpose here. And Amy Adams kind of like walks them through like, okay, this is the question you want to ask them. What is your purpose here on Earth? And she breaks it down like word by word, like why do we have to build up the foundation? And that's so true. When you learn a foreign language, you're not like going to learn grammar right away. You need to learn basic foundations of the language, whether it's like the basic words for here or there, but also like how the languages think. Like with Spanish, instead of I am this many years old, yo tengo however many years, it's like I have this many years. So like building up that foundational understanding helps build the eventual grammar. And I thought that was a really fun scene. Yeah. Language is so like layered and difficult.
Again, that ties back to the helicopter scene where Ian reads the first passage out of her book and she says, you got to dazzle him with the basics.
After Louise is struggling to teach the aliens her name, she takes off her suit to make herself more identifiable.
Dumb. Don't do that.
So dumb. I love that she did that. And like in this movie, I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. You show them all like that you're just trying to peacefully encounter this other species. But like, let's be real. Even if the aliens had the best intentions ever, they might be carrying some space bubonic plague or whatever. Like,
yeah, that's what the barrier is for. Ian joins in, and they get the aliens to ink their names. Ian names them Abbott and Costello.
First watch through of this, when they inked something before their names, and then they ink 2 circles, and then Amy Adams is like, oh yeah, that's their names. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Those are just like ink swelches. Like, how do you know that's their name? What if they're saying like, what are you doing?
Right, she's fallen into the kangaroo trap.
But I think this watch through, I think I understand. There are 2 people that understand the complexities of language. They're both approaching it with care, trying to be the most efficient with their language. Before she even said the line, those are their names, when they inked that, I was like, oh, those are their names. That makes sense. They're different than the past symbol that was like supposed to be human. That's their names. So I thought that was cool.
Louise is taken by a memory of her daughter. Just this is something that kind of continually happens throughout the film. For the purposes of talking about the greater narrative and stuff, it is important that the first time she, in this current timeline, sees images of her, or memories of her daughter, is the first time she's exposed to the alien language, like the actual written language, the circly, inkly boys.
Couldn't say it better myself.
Every symbol that the aliens write is a circle with some shit on it.
Yeah, a circle with some variations of how
it's
circular
shaped.
it is. Yeah,
it's hard to describe it verbally.
Yeah, like almost like if you took a splatter brush and like it had randomization.
A coffee cup stain.
Yeah, a coffee cup stain. Yeah, good point, Lucas. Good job. You found the anachronistic way of it describing it that makes the most sense.
After she has taken her like hazmat suit off, and like, I'm sorry, I love Arrival in terms of how realistic this first encounter is, but like the U.S. government would have quarantined her ass. Are you kidding me? They would have quarantined her for like the next like 7, maybe not under this administration, but previous administrations that believed in science would have quarantined her.
But also, like, her taking off her suit exposes them. Wow, but we just talked about this. There's the barrier. Fuck.
Yeah.
Shit. Damn you, Dennis.
He's got you down. We get one soldier on the phone talking to his wife, trying to calm her down. I'm only talking about this because we get this soldier a few times throughout, so he becomes important later. We are then greeted by a narration with Ian, plus a montage where he talks about all the knowns and unknowns about the aliens, which he has dubbed heptapods because they have 7 legs. This is intercut with some sort of classroom footage of them teaching the aliens various words through like gesture and stuff.
I do like that. Yeah, they write Ian walks on the board, and then Ian walks across, and the heptapod walks with him.
Very cute.
It's very cute.
It is cute. We also learned that their written language has no sound, so the sounds that they're making carry no relation to the written language, which I think is interesting and cool. Thinking about like our languages would be kind of interesting.
Are there any non-phonetic languages or non-phonetic like written?
All languages have a representation in sound in the written languages. Ian says this in the film. But it would be kind of, I guess you could say like pictograms in a way. Like, oh, you see this hieroglyph and it's like, that's the character for dog. But in that, you're also still like hearing the word dog, right? There is a connection between sound and meaning.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird.
You know, you think about encountering another person on Earth that has a different language and trying to understand their language. You have these set of shared things, like a body, and what that body do. But when you're encountering, the first encounter with an extraterrestrial being, we're going to most likely function in such different ways. Both of our base foundations are so different that the culture that, you know, takes generations of people to build up on. It has such a very old area where it splits, or, you know, such a distinct foundation that, like, you just really got to put yourself in a different mindset. And I think that's so fun and so cool. And, like, what a difficult puzzle, but, like, what a fun puzzle, too.
Yeah, I mean, like, you think about trying to communicate to even an animal. It's like, it doesn't even understand basic concepts and stuff. And we get to that later where, like, these aliens are trying to communicate this idea that time is not linear to humans who experience time linearly. Mm-hmm. There's so many pitfalls to that. It's like us trying to communicate to a donkey.
Yeah, there's a Wittgenstein quote, a philosopher of language, where if a lion could speak, we wouldn't understand what he said because we don't know what his world is like.
Yeah.
It's kind of a similar...
For our listeners, Mitch loves Wittgenstein.
Loves is maybe a strong word.
He loves
I've tried to read a little bit of it. It's pretty hard, but I find certain philosophical questions interesting. There's other parts of, like, linguistic philosophy that interest me in his work, but this is just one thing.
You gave me a Wittgenstein book.
Did I?
You're like, bro, read this.
He was spreading the good word.
It's probably real.
To co-opt what you're saying, Mitch, Amy Adams, I believe this happened earlier, was kind of talking about language and how, like, language is so ingrained, or, like, it affects humans in such a way that the language that you grow up learning affects the way that you think, and that learning a new language can rewire your brain to think in the way that language allows you to think.
Yeah, that does. That scene is later, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's all good. I'm the one with the entire fucking movie written down in front of me, so
keep going. I'm gonna let you cook, Mitch.
I don't expect you to remember the exact sequence of all these scenes. I'm going to get back to it. More unrest around the world as people are desperate for a solution. We see the same soldier from earlier getting some ideas from a Rush Limbaugh type character on the internet. So this is when you're like, this guy's, he's got some bad influences.
Probably spends too much time on 4chan.
As Ian and Louise work through the night, Louise has more memories of her daughter. She's not sure what's going on, but she seems to be feeling strange. She then has a conversation with Ian about a hypothesis that what language you speak changes your perception of the world.
Hey, I heard that before.
There it is. I'm sorry, y'all.
This conversation turns out to be a dream, as she appears to be convincing one of the heptapods in her room that she's still fit to do this job.
She is.
Have you guys seen Enemy?
No.
Luis is awoken by Weber, asking her to translate something he heard on a Chinese channel. It seems like the Chinese are trying to teach the aliens mahjong as a form of communication, and it's not going well, as they have started mobilizing their military forces closer to their shell. What we've learned from this film is, algebra and mahjong is not the way to teach someone a language.
But it makes so much sense. Audience, I love Mitch and Ben. I know that if shit hits the fan, that I can rely on these people to, like, help me out or to, like, help me talk through shit. But if we're playing a game, they will slit my throat in front of my family and drink the blood. Games are vicious and they bring out the worst in all of us, and I love it.
True. Yeah. Which does bring up this conversation with Weber where she's like, oh no, they're making their language seem confrontational. Like, if you teach them a game of wins and losses, every conversation comes an attack and a defense. It's kind of interesting. Weber decides it's time to ask the big question. Why are they here? They go into the shell and ask the question. The aliens reply, offer weapon.
Oof.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite part of the movie. It's like, uh-oh.
I think it's interesting that they chose to teach them the word weapon as well.
Honestly, yeah. I would have taught them tool over weapon 100%. Don't go in there being like, yo, this is what genocide means. Like,
we then cut to everyone arguing about what the next steps are. An alarm starts, and chaos is unfolding in the communications room. Russia and China have pulled out of cooperation, and the U.S. has followed suit, despite Luis's pleas. And I think this makes sense, too. Just international relations perspective, it would become very realist in if weapons are on the table, us not sharing information is important,
Which, two things. One, how petty, all of these nations are on essentially a Discord chat, and they're like, I'm gonna mute myself, and I'm gonna mute my screen, and then the USA is like, everyone's muting themselves, mute back.
I honestly, though, that scene, the screen of everybody's faces and their country above them, and then just all of them going blank, and it's like, oh, that's really fucking bad.
Okay, so Amy Adams is like, we need to share information, and the CIA agent is essentially like, no, what if the aliens are trying to divide us? Which, to be honest, is fair and true. So when the Spanish came over to the Americas, yes, they had more advanced technology than the indigenous people, but they were also super outnumbered. Cortez did not have armies upon armies. It was a small band of people. But that is what Cortez did to the Aztecs and Pizarro did to the Incas. They allied with indigenous groups of people that were ostracized or penalized by the ruling powers, aka the Aztecs or the Incas in their regions, and said, hey, we'll take care of your biggest enemy if you help us overthrow them. So historically, that is totally fair, and I understand where that fear comes in.
Yeah, I mean, it does come down to these people operate from a defense mind and an offense mind, counterintelligence, military, whereas Luis is operating from a communication and seeing, language as a bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
And those things are two sides of a coin, which is a really interesting idea to dive into. The idea, I said it before, you're in a dark forest, you're an old-timey human being, you don't know anyone, and you hear a noise. Do you A, hide, get a stick, get a pokey stick, or do you B, say who's there? And if you make yourself clear, if you make yourself known and open pathways to communication, it's inherently risky. You're inherently risking yourself, and that's that's the whole dichotomy between the military aspect and that's why I think the scene where she risks contamination by getting out of the suit is sort of justified, even though it's a bad idea thematically, because it's symbolic because she's initiating conversation, even though it's inherently risky. But the reason I still didn't buy it is because we get droves of the whole fucking narrative, because the whole point of the military in the movie is to serve that theme.
So it turns out that the Chinese got a similar message saying, use weapon. Ian and Luis rush off to try and get clarification from the aliens.
I don't remember if they say this in the movie or not, but do the Chinese get the same message and interpret it as use weapon?
No, it seems to be whatever their vocabulary difference is, and we don't. Communication is broken down, so it's hard to say. Maybe their vocab words are different, and so use and offer. Yeah, it could be a syntax or grammar thing. The aliens might be saying this similar thing, or how the question was phrased. I don't know. It's not explained, but you get a recording apparently or something that the Chinese publish saying use weapon. Ian and Luis rush off to try and get clarification from the aliens. Meanwhile, Fox News soldier has decided to unilaterally blow the aliens sky high while the shell is still open, raising a bomb into the nave.
I understand they're really stupid and useless and dumb, but what's their fucking plan? They're going to blow up this ship, even if it goes off without a hitch and blows them up and eviscerates them, and that works. They still have 11 other ships surrounding the globe. No one is that stupid unless they're suicidal.
Fascists are.
I mean, have you ever met MAGA? Yeah, MAGA people. People who've been brainwashed. I think there is an element to someone who believes the U.S. military is the greatest, force that has ever been seen, buying into this idea that we're gonna punch them before they punch us.
Two things.
Interesting.
One, if you really think the United States is the greatest force the world's ever seen, and you're able to sneak a bomb past all of them into the greatest asset that they have, maybe you should stop and reflect. I'm just saying. Two, he was on the phone with his wife early on, so he has something to lose.
So they raise a bomb into the nave. Ian and Luis go up unaware of this. None of the Fox News soldiers make much of an effort to stop them. Luis asks the aliens for clarification, but doesn't quite have the vocabulary to understand the response. So instead, she decides to ask for the technology now. Instead of weapon, she tries to use the word technology. The alien gestures for Luis to come to the barrier. Meanwhile, Fox News soldiers are getting locked and loaded for the incoming security team Weber sent to investigate what they're up to. Luis touches the glass, and the aliens seem to transmit some information through to her. She immediately sees more memories of her daughter. One of the aliens seems to ink their entire written language for Luis. Basically, this huge web of their symbols, which at this point, the bomb timer is ticking down, and Ian and Luis are alerted to the gunfire that's happening below. The aliens force push Ian and Luis out of the nave before the bomb detonates, and Luis is awoken in a hospital bed on the base.
Another sign that these aliens are on the friendly communication side. As the bomb explodes, they close the hatch to contain the explosion to protect Ian and Louise, which homeboys
Real one.
Yeah.
My
also,
man.
The tapestry of their entire language, of all the varying sizes of these circular symbols spread across the whole entire barrier. That was just beautiful. That was really cool. And seeing that in person, you're just overload. What the fuck is this? I don't know what's going on.
I interpreted it at first as them saying run. Just run.
That's interesting. Because Costello kind of knocks on the glass. He's like, hey. But that was him asking her to come to the glass. At first, I thought it was him hey, look behind you. There's a bomb.
And there's this really cool sequence where before all the symbols pop up, he squirts some ink after she gets up against the glass. And then Costello and Louise both start at the top at 12 o'clock and then go opposite ways on the clock. And it's almost like Louise is controlling the ink as well to create a new symbol. And then all the symbols pop up. And it was just bitch, I wish I could control ink like that. I want some powers. Give me something special.
Lucas wants to be an octopus. That's what we're learning from this podcast. If you didn't like Arrival, Ben, you might like The Mountain and the Sea.
Oh, hell
I think
yeah.
you should read The Mountain and the Sea.
I've heard that book is amazing. I heard that was amazing.
Yeah. Well, if you don't like Arrival, I'm curious if you'd like The Mountain and the Sea.
They're pretty different, really. Denis Villenuve, if you're listening, you should read that book, and after you're finished Dune, you should look at adapting it.
Daniel Villeneuve, that would make my entire life, and I would...
His name is not Daniel.
Daniel Villeneuve? Oh, Denis Villeneuve.
No, it's Denis.
Denis Villeneuve? Please make this into a movie.
Also, Denis Villenuve, if you're listening to this, just because I don't like Arrival doesn't mean I don't like your other movies. I think Sicario's bad, but I love Prisoners. I fucking love Prisoners. I love Incendies. That movie's incredible.
A Sunday.
Fuck! Fuck! I've been calling it Incendies this whole time.
I only learned that recently because I watched a career breakdown of Denis films talking about the timeline of his movies and his career. That's where I learned how to pronounce the name of the film. After the attack, they're all preparing to leave in case of retaliation by the aliens. Louise wants to stay and go back to explain what happened to them, but this conversation is interrupted by a crackling of the shell lifting up higher in the air from the humans below.
Which I think is so funny. It's like they blow him up and the alien's like, okay, we're going to go over here. We're going to let you sort your shit out.
We're cool, but
Chill.
bro,
Chill.
back up. We don't want random people putting stuff on our ship anymore.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell was even that? Meanwhile, China has given its aliens an ultimatum to leave or catch these hands.
Leave or we'll smoke you in Mazda.
Other shell sites are following China's lead. As Ian and Luis look at the aliens' massive dictionary, Luis has...
Interesting choice of words for a movie about language. But
Louise has more kid memories. Her daughter asks her, she's looking for a certain word, but she can't think of it. We then come back, and Ian has just had a brain blast that the codex that they were shown is one of 12, and each shell must have their own piece of it.
He does it in such a roundabout way. It's like, I looked at the three-dimensional space of this stuff, and the empty space works out to 0.83. You might like that as a fraction. It's 1 of 12. And it's like, what geometric shape did you draw around it? Was it a rectangular prism?
he's a mathematician. He sees it in his head.
Yeah, he's showing his work. He's showing his work. He's showing his work.
This is like the part that I'm like, I fucking love this movie. Because like there's all these theories out there about like the dark forest that like, okay, so why the hell, if like there are so many infinite stars out there, haven't we come into contact with evidence of extraterrestrial life? And some people think it's the dark forest hypothesis where, well, maybe everyone's afraid of each other because there's, you know, going to be a big bad alien species that's going to conquer the world. And so everyone stays quiet. And that, like, when extraterrestrials meet you, they're going to be violent. But I feel like this is the most realistic expectation if, of course, these beings are looking to communicate, looking to trade, looking to understand each other. They're coming down to Earth and they're like, hey, we want to communicate. We want to talk. But we're going to give you each a piece of the puzzle. We're going to see if y'all can work it out between yourselves before we see if you can work it out with other beings. Like, let's see how chill you actually are. This is the litmus test to see if you can join the galactic empire, you know? Or just interact with them to be safe.
Yeah, in Star Trek, basically, they wait until a civilization and a planet, they don't make themselves known until they've reached a certain technological threshold, and then they zap down the planet. They're like, hey, what's up? We are the Intergalactic Alliance. Nice to meet ya. These are, the rules we play by. We would love if your world joined our federation, but we understand if not. God, I love Star Trek.
Star Trek is the future we could have had.
Yeah. Aren't they all communists?
Yeah, kind of. They're in a post-scarcity society, which me and my wife talk about all the time. Love post-scarcity society. We talk about it all the time.
Printers, those matter printers, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The replicator, I would never cook. I would never cook if I had a replicator. It'd be so nice. Replicators. Let's get on that. That'd be great. So they believe that the aliens did this to force cooperation between the humans. Louise has another flashback to her daughter, where what Ian has just said, non-zero-sum game, she basically remembers in the memory and tells her daughter, Hannah, that zero-sum game. This is where the timelines start to feel a little funky. Like, is this a memory? Like, it's almost like her hearing Ian say that affects her ability in the future, sorry, spoilers, to tell her that.
We spoil movies.
Like, we do.
Yeah, so it is what it is. We do our best to keep the suspense up, but at some point we got to talk about it.
If you wanted the suspense, watch the movie. You're here for the analysis.
The analysis. While the men in the room all argue, Louise seems to be far away. Her moments here are intercut with a cylinder descending from the sky. She leaves the tent and goes to the shell, which sends out this same cylinder from her vision to take her up to see, her boys, her Abbott and Costellos.
Brave ass human, the best of us. Listener, I'm genuinely asking you, would you do this? And I know you wouldn't, you fucking liar.
Oh, if they sent the shell, yeah, if they send the little shell pod, I'm going in.
Yeah, I might do it too.
Okay, well, fuck me. Everyone's gonna do it. Everyone's gonna January 6th the shell.
What? The shell begins to lift up, and the mini shell going to the bigger shell. And as it rises, the cylinder begins to fill with what seems to be the alien's atmosphere. And she's freaking out. She thinks she just entered the gas chamber.
Honestly, I would be scared too.
She's lifted into the shell and into the area where the aliens normally are and is able to breathe. One of the aliens comes to her and they start speaking. It informs her that the other alien, Abbott, is dying, probably because of, the dumb humans that sent the bomb. She apologizes for this. She asks them to contact the other sites. The alien just says, use the weapon. And she asks again, reiterates, why are they here? And finally, the alien is feeling confident enough to really get down with the whole lore drop. They say that they came to help humanity because in 3,000 years, they will need humanity's help. She asks how they know the future. She is then struck by more memories, quote unquote, of her daughter, which she replies, who is this child? Which is kind of like when the shoe drops, where these memories are not memories. They're just these visions she's been having. She then has more memories of the child's drawing, which is called Mommy and Daddy Talking to Animals. And she has this cute little clay heptapod.
Who daddy?
The alien replies, Luis sees the future. The weapon opens time, which is, there you go. That's how Luis learns. But it's very overwhelming for her. Because you can imagine how weird it would be just through the last few weeks or whatever, just getting random visions of this little girl that's your daughter or whatever. Be am I hallucinating? What's going on?
Also, how cool that language can rewire your brain to be able to not see time as linear. Ben, what did you feel about this reveal? Because I could also see a world where you're oh, that's the big reveal. The daughter happens after this, not before this.
No, the first time I watched it, I was I don't really remember what I thought, but the second time I watched it, my notes were mostly, so she has memories of this future child, but not enough to know that it's her child, even though she calls her mom. That's my big thing. I get she has feelings of the future, but again, the mechanisms of this future site are very opaque. So she sees the child, right? Does she smell it? Does she feel it? Is she there? If time's not linear, is she in that situation? If she's in that situation, how much of her brain is there? She doesn't know her kid's name. Does she know who she is? What? I don't understand. I don't understand the mechanisms of it. And that opaqueness leaves me confused as to what they're trying to say.
I like that opaqueness though, because we do see time as linear. Seeing time as circular would be really difficult for us to comprehend, just like it would be difficult to comprehend a fourth dimensional being. And I like the way that she kind of is tackling with it throughout the movie, where she's oh yeah, I just had some weird ass dreams.
Well, I mean, up until this point, literally the only way it manifests is her seeing pictures of her kid that she doesn't know is her kid, and she doesn't really bring it up to anyone. She's
beamed back to Earth, so to speak. Her Ian and Weber are kind of dragging her out, trying to get her to the chopper. But she's gripped by another vision where she's speaking with her daughter, who's wondering why her dad doesn't look at her the same way anymore, which, we'll get to it, but that's just the important part of the vision. She snaps back, saying that she knows why her husband left her. And Ian is I didn't know you had a husband. Meanwhile, all the shells are turning perpendicular to the ground. Military force sites around the world are getting locked and loaded. And as the chaos of the work site is unfolding, Luis continues to work in the tent while jumping sort of back and forth between now and her visions of the future. She realizes while this is happening, she's looking at the codex, she now understands the language completely. She tries to explain this to Weber, that the weapon is a gift, and if you learn the alien's language, you can perceive time the way they do, non-linearly. And Weber is it was a good try. It was an honor to work with you, Luis. And he gets in the chopper.
He's what the hell have you been
complete
smoking?
Disregard.
She then jumps to to a future fancy party where she is greeted by the Chinese military leader who speaks to her in perfect English. He tells her that he only came to this shindig to meet her in person, and that 18 months ago, she did something incredible to change his mind. He also lets her know that how she did it was by calling him on his private number, and he shows his number to her at the party so that she knows it in the past. Present Louise runs back to the tent to make the call, and everything is being shut down and packed up. She finds a phone. Meanwhile, the intelligence ops in the tent are alerted that a phone is calling China, and they send goons to look for her. In the future, the general whispers in her ear what she said to him on the phone call back then, his wife's dying words. Meanwhile, the goons have her and Ian in a corner, locked in this hazmat room. Ian is there to try and buy Louise some time. Louise finishes the call, and we cut to a newscast that China has stood down and that they will be sharing all their intelligence with the other sites. All the other sites follow suit. Humanity is working together, finally, on the codex. The aliens leave Earth. We then cut to a similar scene as the beginning of the film, except it's Louise seeing what happens after the aliens leave. Her and Ian falling in love, having their daughter Hannah, despite Louise knowing that she will get sick and die, and that she will also lose Ian as a result of that decision, which is kind of where that memory comes from earlier, where she clearly told Ian the truth that she's known the whole time they've been together, and even before that, that if they had a child, that Hannah was going to die from a very rare, incurable disease. And he
abandons the goddamn family.
is pissed. And that's a rival.
Arrival.
Au revoir.
Here's the thing. Either the movie's taking a deterministic stance. She can't change the future, right? In which case, you have the issue I was talking about before, where there really isn't any stakes. She's not so much a character as she is just a puppet in a role, right? And there isn't I mean, you're having a philosophical discussion at that point, which, fair enough. Arrival's much more fun to talk about than it is to watch, in my opinion. Or you have to contend with the fact, I don't understand why she wouldn't make her daughter's illness clear to her husband before they had her, knowing what was going to happen. Isn't that relevant information?
But she also knew that he was going to abandon the family because of that situation, and she wanted to have the child to be able to get his part of the deal done.
Yeah, but she didn't know if he's going to abandon the family if they don't have the kid, right? And if you choose to have sex on another night, then another sperm is going to impregnate the egg, and you're going to have a different kid who might not have this condition. Sure, you won't have your relationship with this kid that you had here, but you'll still have a relationship. You might have one that'll last longer. And that's an interesting question. That's an interesting conundrum. But the movie can't ask it because that would go over the runtime. And that's also not what the movie's about. It can't address it either because that would bring up all the shit from before where it's well, why didn't anybody in this story act differently knowing they had that information? The reason is because they have to go with this deterministic thing. Well, they know that there's nothing they can do to change it. But that seems weird because it's what happens if you try to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the film, and from my understanding of the short story, does view it as deterministic. Where, yeah, like Ben said, we're actors playing your part. And I understand you saying there's no exploration or there's no time to explore what it means if you didn't make that decision. And I think Louise kind of talks about this, that even knowing the destination, she gladly chooses. I think the point is it's supposed to feel affirming in that life is painful. And even if you know that going into it, you can still appreciate the beauty, in it. And I think it isn't really about trying to weave a time narrative. I think it's more about the message, it's not as mechanical as a Christopher Nolan film in that way. I don't view the time bit as, I view it as something more philosophical than mechanical.
Ratings out of 10?
I can go first. This movie, a lot of fun. It's very interesting. It brings the beauty and intrigue into language, into what makes humans. It makes me think about, like, you know, the first encounter and how we can best do the first encounter and how flawed humans are. I love this movie. It's beautiful. It's fun. The score is great. Didn't know it was Denis Villenuve.
I thought we were doing ratings, not summaries. I thought we already did summaries.
My rating is 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cozy one for me. I think it hits a lot of Venn diagrams of shit I like. I recognize some of the flaws with it, but I still love it. That said, I think 8 is where I settle with this one.
I think it's a lot of fun to talk about. More fun to talk about than watch. I think it's a 4 out of 10.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so it's time for the time of our podcast where we scrounge the high seas of the internet and find the most batshit, off-the-wall, cuckoo bananas reviews we can find of the movie that we just talked about.
Mine is from Letterboxd user Temerity D.
Temerity D's nuts.
Ben?
Mine's from, what's it called? I think it's Metacritic. Mikael.
Yeah.
Mikael.
And mine is from Letterboxd Veronica.
Okay, I'll go first. Mine's very wholesome, and it's not great, but it's very wholesome. Mikael rated it on my birthday in 2019. They rated it a 9, and they said, quite interesting movie. I like it very much because it is alien movie, but it focuses more on how we communicate, not shoot them.
Very true. I can go next. Mine is by Veronica on Letterboxd. They rated this a 0.5 star, and they said, dumbass movie, the fuck? Disclaimer, I didn't pay attention to 95% of it, but the bits I saw of the alien things and the floating rock was booty.
I saw one like that too. Some they're like, bitch, I turned this off in the first 20 minutes. Terrible movie. All right,
Oh,
boys,
God.
buckle in. This person had a fair bit to say. This is from Letterboxd user Temerity D. They gave it 1 star. All right, so don't interrupt because there's a lot here. It's going to keep going for a bit, okay? Tailor-made for AI-generated 10-minute recap spoiler video channels.
That's kind of
This
true.
is just there's just so much there's so much irrelevant information in this, but I'll keep going. Cat sitting with a friend some time ago. Unbleakability dreary in its drabness. The epitome of harbinger of trends in moving movie lighting that are for the industry would soon become widespread disaster. Hyper-realism ain't the desirable visual design end, my friend. Also, funny fucking decade later to see the dying gasps of Obama-era neoliberalism. Parentheses. And yes, I stand by the usage of this often highly meaningless buzzwords in this instance. End parentheses. Played out in full here. Like this is its apex. Believes for some fucking reason the USA would be the ultimate voice of calm given the situation.
They didn't watch the movie because we weren't.
That every other superpower would become comically inept upon confrontation. That there actually was some form of legitimacy to essentialist ideology about other countries. Still retains vestiges of that Bush-era axis of evil, parentheses, remember that shit, end parentheses, geopolitical configuration. But wait, there's more. Absolutely baffling to see the screenwriters genuinely delude themselves into believing Americans are the most exceptionally emotionally controlled and restrained individuals in the history of the world. They genuinely believed that about themselves back then. And now, a decade later, we have a president threatening to annex multiple sovereign nations on, in parentheses, in his own words, end parentheses, a whim. And not a single person in our godforsaken nation wants to understand why that's so grim. Wants, period. I'm starting to add layers of internationalism to the process I see playing out around me, because honestly, a lot of this ignorance does seem deliberate. Just watch Solaris if you want to scratch that first contact itch with an analogous message.
Also not true.
I mean, yeah, watch Solaris.
The United States was as dumb as everybody else. It was Louise as an individual who was pushing to like be diplomatic and trying to understand others.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, Denis Villenuve is Canadian. French Canadian.
I agree with and disagree with so much of what this person said.
It was so much. I like, bro, like, first off, like, fucking grammar, first off. Holy shit, bro. Like, that's not how you use parentheses. I know you took like one international relations and poli sci class in college, but calm the fuck down, bro.
We should absolutely have them on the pod. That would be a lot of fun.
Just like cat sitting with a friend some time ago. Sure. Okay. Like you didn't say, was that when you watched it? Like unbleak liability, dreary in its drabness. Some quality stuff there. Anyway, thanks for letting me indulge you with that. I was unhinged.
That's one of the best ones we've had.
Good,
that was incredible. All right. That concludes the multiverse time fuckery epoch. The next epoch is going to be documentaries, which I'm very excited for. And we'll be starting with my suggestion, Where Dreams Go to Die, which you can find for free on YouTube.
Nice.
Thank you for spending your time with us, and I hope you have a good night.
As a reminder, we'll be off next week.
Kisses.